Thank you. So we were talking about in 1960.
60, I joined Military College Sralagir. I was stayed there for 6 years, did my FSC because I joined in year 8 and then I left after my FSC, and then I joined Pakistan Army. So I was in Pakistan Army from 1967 to 1984. So 1984, about 16, 17 area. Thereafter I left and I became a lecturer in one of the colleges in Pakistan, in Azad Kashmir again, Mirpur, and I moved to England in 1991.
Marvellous. So you moved into England
1991, October, August, yeah.
1991. And how did you feel when you decided, when you moved to England? Did you say, well, this is my new start in my life? Or?
Yes, of course it was, because it was a big decision. And I had children, so naturally I had to consult everybody, my wife, my children, before we moved here. And yes, it was a good decision. I think I had taken it. But yes, it was a big thing, and we couldn't, for many days we couldn't decide whether we were coming or not. But
Very
we
good.
decided.
And normally when you have, in those days, you used to have the voucher systems where they used to actually want people in the country for work because there was a lot of need in the country at that time. Did you come on the premise that you wanted to work here, or did you say, look, I want to come as a teacher, or because of your qualifications? What was the reason?
I had with great intention. That was the intention, that I was going to earn my own living. And since I had been working in Pakistan Army and as a lecturer for quite some time, for 6 years, so naturally, yes, that was the aim. It was not to in any way that I will be doing nothing and I'll be just sitting. No, I came here to work.
And did you find that when you came here, were you speaking English at that time? Or
yes,
were you?
I could.
Good. And was that because of the army education?
Because of my qualifications, because I had done my master's in English, so that is what in Pakistan. Yes, that is the reason. And plus, the medium of instructions in that military college was English, because I told you that it was established by the British. So till 1966, when we still had one teacher who had gone from here to teach. So there were teachers who were trained by the British, and the medium of instruction there was in English. Although before I was in year 7 or year 8, no English I had never learned before, but I started learning it from that day onwards, and then we couldn't speak in any other language. So yes, I knew that English was not a problem for me.
Very good. So when you actually moved into England and you first landed, did you come alone without your family?
Yes, I came naturally alone. Although my family was to follow me, we had the visa and everything, but I said, let me go and establish myself and you can follow me after 2-3 months. So they followed me after 2-3 months.
Marvellous, thank you. And when you actually came into and landed on the plane, was it in Heathrow, London?
I landed in Heathrow and I stayed. First we went to, my friend was there in Birmingham, so we went all the way to Birmingham and we stayed for a few days. Then I chose Derby and I came to Derby because again I had some friends, and the only thing I needed was some moral support, some accommodation, some money. So I didn't want to depend on anybody, but naturally you
have to be with someone, for the first.
Has to help.
What was your first impressions when you landed off the plane? About the cold, or was it?
I had no idea. The first thing which I remember was that I didn't hear any horns on the motorway when we were driving to the
motorway.
Birmingham, and then again in London. But naturally, I had seen the pictures, films, and things like that. I had some idea that what it would be. But the first thing was that everybody was following discipline. Everybody had was following the law by traffic rules and things like that. So yes, that impressed me. But at the same time, it was very haunting. That what would I do? I don't know anybody, so I didn't know what did the future hold for me.
Good. So when you actually came to Birmingham and with your friend, and you actually stayed in Birmingham for a while?
Yeah, with my friend for a few days, or maybe a few weeks, or maybe 1 month, I don't remember, but then I came to Derby.
Then you came to Derby. Is it directly from Birmingham to Derby, or did you decide to move anywhere else?
No. From Birmingham, they just brought me. I still remember it is in front of Bramble School. Another gentleman was going to Bradford. He says, I can't take you to Derby, I'll just drop you somewhere in Derby. So he dropped me in front of Bramble School, and somebody, again, a friend of mine. During those times, there was no mobile phones. So I rang up from one of the telephone booths and he came.
Marvellous. So you actually moved into Derby after a few weeks over in...
I think in September, yeah, maybe 4 few weeks.
And where did you actually move to Derby? Was it a house?
Normanton area. No. The friend of mine, he used to live on Belfort Road or Belfort Street, Belfort Road.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved with him, and then my family, by this time we had decided when should my family join. So we arranged a house for them, and then we used a flight and we went and picked them up from Manchester, because during those days the PIA flights were in Manchester, nearer rather than, because there were no flights to Birmingham, there were only flights to Manchester or to Heathrow, but Heathrow was too far, so we thought we'd go to Manchester to pick them up.
So that's marvellous. So now you have your family now with you in Derby,
Yeah.
who joined you, and you have settled in slowly into living in England from coming from Pakistan. Where did you actually live in terms of your house? Was that the first house, or did you move again?
Yeah, it was the first house, Normanton area. So
Mm-hmm.
Normanton area was, I was just very near to Rose Hill Mosque. So I think it was Wilfred Street or something, I don't remember. But we did rent out a house, and that is where we got first. I think it was Home Street, but I don't remember. Yes, we moved 2-3 houses before we bought our own house.
Oh, okay. So you were living in temporary accommodation, renting a house. Were you working then?
No, I had no job,
You had
because I
no
was
job.
looking,
Right.
and I didn't know. I thought that I will get a job straight away when I come here, but I had no idea that there are certain procedures which they follow, and naturally it's not your qualification, it has to be your interview, it has to be shortlisted. This I didn't know. I thought I'll just apply for a job and somebody will call me and I'll be the only candidate, and then I will, after the interview, no, but it was a different thing, that the job was advertised, and then naturally I had to apply, and then we were shortlisted, that's all. But in Pakistan we don't have these things.
Of course, yes. So you were looking for a job while you had your family with you, but you were living in rented accommodation?
Yes, and I got a job exactly after 1 year.
Wow.
My family joined me in October,
Mhm.
and exactly 1 year, in 92 I got the job. Before that I had no job. So
Oh.
I was without a job for complete 1 year, and that was the very, very, what should I say, a time when I was thinking that I had done not the right move, I should not have come. But then I had a lot of hope in my Allah, and yes.
That's very nice to know. So when you were moving from a renting accommodation to another rented accommodation, how were the living conditions?
Not to my standard, not to my
Mhm.
expectations, because again, the house we had back in Mirpur up there, we had a very big house, we had our own car, and we had all the things,
Yes.
all the facilities. So naturally, I didn't have a car at that time. By the way, I had not even passed my driving test at that time.
Mhm.
So I didn't know that. I thought my international driving license would be valid here, but then I checked up and then they said, no, you can't. The reason being that you are not insured, and if you get the insurance, it will cost you more than the normal cost of the car. So that's why I didn't get any myself.
I understand.
I had to take the driving test.
You have to take the driving test. So you didn't actually take your driving test for a while?
Oh no, I think I'm 93, because naturally you want to spend money on something which is better, rather than straight away spending money on a car or insurance or a driving test. No.
So the conditions weren't that good where you were living?
I won't say not that good, but not as we expected.
Yes, of
they were
course.
good enough, because my children
Mm.
got the admission in the school,
Mhm.
so I had nothing else. Used to go walk with them to the school,
Mhm.
drop them off and come back, and then at times used to go and collect them after. So that was one of the activities I used to do.
Excellent. And were you living with your family in the same house, or were there other people sharing?
No. We had
You had your
a
own
house
house.
where was nobody else was. We were only
Excellent.
living there.
Thank you.
But with no job, we didn't have any job. Whatever money we had brought from Pakistan, that was getting almost drained out.
Mhm. So when you were actually looking to buy your own house, once you had your job, from only after a year from your actual finding or looking for a job, what was that job that you first got?
The first job I got was a teacher, so that because I was a lecturer there, so I mean there is a story behind it, and if you want I can tell you.
Yes, please. We would love to know.
Right back in 93, it should not be taken in the negative way, 91, 92.
Uh-huh.
What it was, that was a Labour government, and they used to pay they had faith assemblies in all the schools, whether it was a junior school or a primary school or high school. So the faith assemblies were conducted by the community leaders. That is the proper faith. That is, Muslims used to conduct their assemblies. So what the Labour government had decided, and what the city council had decided, they used to pay the taxi fare to the imams or to those people who used to go and conduct these faith assemblies. But as luck would have it, they said we will not give any more money to those taxi fares to the imams or to those who come and lead the faith assemblies. So the community has to send somebody volunteer who can do this free. We cannot give any money. So naturally nobody was willing to work free, but as luck would have it, and I had to get it. So the community, one of the community leaders, he came to me, he says, are you free on this day? I said, why do you want me to, why are you asking these? He says, oh, we have come to know that you were a teacher there, so do you mind going and taking a faith assembly? I said, for how many days? He says, for 1 day. So I said, okay, I don't mind if it is a 1 day. So I went to one of the schools, I'll not name it. Okay, it was Village Community School. Mm-hmm. So I said, look, young man, I do not have any transport, I can't, so where is village school, I do not know. He says, don't worry, I'll drop you. So he dropped me at the gate, and therein, I saw that the head teacher was waiting for me, the deputy was waiting for me, and all the Muslim boys and girls were sitting very quietly in the hall. So I was taken aback, oh, what is happening? So he took me and he introduced me to the children, that look, it is Mr. Rahman who's going to take your assembly, and over to Mr. Rahman. So that was my first assembly, and I had no idea what to do. Wow. So the only thing was, I said, okay, the only thing I can talk to you is about the 5 pillars of Islam, because nobody had told me what the faith assembly is, what it is. Yes. So when I spoke to them for 15-20 minutes, then I didn't know that it is for 20 minutes, then there was this next lesson, so that's how he again interrupted. He said, Mr. Rahman, thank you very much, now they have a lesson, they have got to go. So after the lesson, after the faith assembly, the head teacher took me to his office, and after thanking me and saying that I had done this thing, he asked me, could you please come next Wednesday? So I didn't reply to him, but I said, excuse me sir, why Wednesday? He says, we have a faith assembly every Wednesday.